Welcome everyone to our Wisdom of the Heart video series. Today we have a great topic, and what the heart truly sees. I believe that's going to be the topic. And we have our guest today, whom many of you know out there, Rodrigo Cayres, and he is going to lead us off with a few passages, and then we'll explore from there. And by the way, Rodrigo's joining us from, is it Itajaí, Brazil?
Yeah, we are in Santa Catarina, Brazil.
Yeah, okay. He's way down in southern Brazil now, in a little coastal town.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, so thanks, Rodrigo, for being here, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to you and get us started.
Thank you, Lynn, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. I love this Wisdom of the Heart series. It's also a pleasure and honor to be with you, the viewer out there. I'm going to start off reading 2 paragraphs from A Course of Love. This is in chapter 5, Relationship, 5.14. We see, let me give you once again the difference between what is within and what is without. Within is all that has joined with you. Without is all that you would keep separate. Within you is every relationship you have ever had with anything. Outside of you is all that you have kept apart, labeled, judged, and collected on your shelves. This is all the 2 worlds are made up of. The one you see as real is the one you keep outside of yourself, making it possible to look upon it with your body's eyes. The one you do not see and do not believe in is the one you cannot look outward to see, but is the one that nonetheless is truly real. To look inward at the real world requires another kind of vision. The vision of your heart, the vision of love, the vision of the Christ in you. The Christ here is synonymous with oneness. So it's that what the heart sees is what we have chosen to join with, what we are in relationship with. So it is this joining with what we are observing that makes the observer and the observer one. And then there is true knowing, and then there is true seeing. It's not about a mind separated from the heart, labeling, judging, classifying, comparing with what the mind already knows. It is a present moment knowing that, as the paragraph made it clear, makes what is apparently outside of us belong within us. So there is no more separation between what is outside and what is within me. So the inner and outer worlds become now one, and I experience oneness. This is only possible when we let our thoughts be guided by our feelings, when there is this joining of mind and heart, which we could put in other way as the joining of the personal self, the embodied self, with the real self, the Christ self, the self we share in oneness. I will tell you one experience I've had that shed light on this idea of seeing what the heart sees. I remember in those days, I was still a young man. I was a 24-year-old in Kathmandu, in Nepal. in those days, I was already a spiritual teacher. I was teaching meditation, self-knowledge, a lot of nice spiritual ideas, but still having a bit of difficulty integrating them into my daily life. So one day I took a bus to go to a kind of a small countryside town outside the capital, Kathmandu. And yeah, that bus was really different from the types of buses I had experienced before in Brazil, in Europe, in other countries. So just for you to have an idea, the seats were so small, and I was already sitting there next to someone when a third person came and just pushed us. I was now there just crushed against the window, and three people sitting on that small seat, and then someone entered with a couple of chickens. So there was a lot of noise of chicken, and others came with packages of peanuts, and they started breaking shells and sitting on the bus floor, on the egg, eating peanuts. So I'm just describing you for you to have an idea of what I experienced. So my mind was racing and judging and labeling. I decided to close my physical eyes and truly enter a space of inner peace. So I closed my eyes in that bus. And as my mind got more still or quiet, I started feeling people around me. So that time I opened up to discover that there was such a beauty in these people, in their simplicity, in their spontaneity, and in their way of being. They were just being themselves. And if I allowed them just to live as they grew up in that environment, for them to do this kind of stuff in a bus was not like an absurd, as I believed it to be. The experience transformed it completely. I then opened my eyes again and felt just so much joy. I felt not only at peace, but at one with all these people around me. Judgment ceased. Yeah. And I was now seeing that experience with my heart's eyes.
I love the two passages like you picked out, and I feel like that speaks to, the wholeheartedness. The way I've come to see it as is, I found a couple of passages in A Course of Love, and it actually says that the heart and the mind are really not separate at all. That when it talks about the heart and the mind being separate, it says that we only treated it that way because that's how you saw it, and we wanted to address the different ways that you saw it. But for me, it's the wholeheartedness is when the mind is resting in the heart, and it's all happening within. And what I was going to say is, what it feels to me, it's just this devotion to this inwardly directed experience, and that how can I do that, like practically speaking? And I feel like it's just having to be with what is in the moment. It's a moment by moment awareness of what's arising in this moment. And as you were saying, it's to join with it instead of to deny it or push it away. And so to join with that experience is to have a relationship with the whole experience. And to me, that's what the wholeness is. It's not about pushing any other way or repressing it where it just gets projected out. And then when I join with that as an inwardly directed experience, as I was telling you earlier, that line in Marari that I love, that Mari's new book, Marari, The Way of the Marys, where it says the inward is now the realm of the forward motion. And to have that devotion to see it from not just the external body's eyes, but to actually drop into an inner experience at the heart level, which is the mind and the heart joined as one. And I've been practicing that too. And the ultimate miracle is that the outer and the inner are a match. They're in sync.
Yeah.
It's like what I'm feeling on the inside is matching up to what's happening on the outside.
Yeah.
So like last night I had a flat tire. I went to the gym and not a flat tire, my battery went dead. And so I had to call AAA, which is this thing I subscribe to, and they'll just, they'll come take care of your flat tire, your battery, or whatever. But anyway, it was just like I just said, okay, my battery's dead. Let me call AAA, and then I'll go into the gym and work out, and it's all going to be fine. And so I worked out in the gym, and then right when I was done, this guy came, and he put me in a new battery. It all happened like within 10 minutes. It was so fast. And it was just all like in this flow state. And then I got to talking with him. And then right in that moment, we were just like in this holy relationship, just out of the blue. And he was sharing some personal things with me that he said he hadn't talked about. It was like really beautiful. So I just like open to that experience. And to me, that's what it is. It's like a tenderness and ongoing openness to be with what is, and then to allow that to flow and expand. And then I can notice when the challenges come up, practically speaking, anytime I'm out of alignment, it's because I've moved away from my true self. And just to notice that and to have that compassion and a tenderness, not to beat myself up about it, but to notice when a disturbance arises. So to me, that's the wholeheartedness in a nutshell. And you can even say it's the one mind or the one heart. It's all the same thing, because the mind and the heart are joined. They're not separate. They're not two separate things. But the thinking mind wants to intellectualize it, but the wholehearted mind wants to feel it. And what we're seeing is something that's known. It's not understood. So that's just what I wanted to add to the dialogue.
I like it a lot, Lynn. Yeah, you put it very well and very clearly.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone has had this experience of seeing with the heart's eyes.
Yeah.
For example, we might have had a grandparent or perhaps a child, perhaps someone in our lives, a classmate, a workmate, that perhaps they didn't look much beautiful or handsome, pretty, on the outward, but we felt so much love and we saw beauty in them. That is one way of experiencing that. Who is seeing is your soul. You are seeing the soul of that individual rather than just a body. I remember, for example, the last time I met my grandmother, and she was almost 97 years old. So in those days, she was so short and full of wrinkles, and she was very frail. And I remember looking at her and feeling she is so beautiful. I felt so much beauty, that sweetness of love of a grandma. But if my if my mind would think about her, I would think, my gosh, like that, she does not look good. Her body was very deteriorating those days, and she was very frail. But when you see with your heart's eyes, you see beauty everywhere, basically. Because if we have time enough to get into the heart, into the soul of each person we meet, we would see beauty in them.
Yeah.
At first sight, our mind is quick to judge, quick already to label, this person looks like this, that other looks like that. But as I said, given an opportunity for us to be close with each other and to have a relationship, to experience the soul of that individual, we would basically love everyone. There would be no special relationships, and love would be just not something between you and a specific person, but it's something that encompasses everything. We would just love the world. And I believe that is how God sees us, how Christ sees us. Christ or God loves us right now, just as we are.
Yeah, and I think that's, the Course in Miracles talked about seeing what Christ's vision, and I think this is just an extension or even an expansion of that, this wholeheartedness, because, I was sharing with you earlier about the passage in the addendum too, where it says, the time of Christ is the way of the heart. And there's no longer an intermediary that's necessary. We don't have to look outside of ourselves for the truth. We look within. We see with the eyes of the heart. We're no longer looking out, but looking in. And this is an inwardly directed experience. And it said in the addendum, I think it's paragraph 19, where it talks about that. And it says, the way of the heart is the time of Christ. The time of the intermediary is over. And it says, your greatest intermediary has been the mind, the thinking analytical mind. And when you're just, that's all you see through this outward labeling and concepts and projections of mind-based interpreted meanings, that's all you see, separation. But when I drop into the heart space, what I'm feeling is it's a relationship with everything. I'm having a relationship with the whole experience. And I like too, later on in this chapter that you brought your quotes into, where it talks about chapter 5, relationship. It talks about that, we're never separate from the Father, I and the Father are one. But it also says that in order to know God, you have to invite in that experience. And so, inviting in that experience, and that's what's real. That's our true self. And if I'm dwelling in the real experience, what I'm going to see, not with the body's eyes, but with my heart, what I see is real. I see the truth, and I see the love that's there. And yeah, and I think, practically speaking, I just wanted to bring up again, for, many of us, including myself, I'm not always there. I'm not always in sustained Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like the important thing is just to be with whatever's arising. That's what I've been practicing, to be with whatever experience is arising. And there's really no point in pushing it away, because it's already here, right? If it's arising, it's already here. So acceptance of that, for whatever is arising in this moment, and to have that relationship with that experience. And if there's a disturbance or, something comes up, whatever it is, anger, emotional reactions or whatever, it's okay. It's not about pushing any of that away. Practically speaking, it's to join with all of it. And as Annie says, the feelings are not, denied, they're elevated at the holy place of the heart. And so all of it passes through, and then something opens up, which I call tenderness, compassion, love, whatever you want to call it. It just keeps opening and opening and opening. And that's just like cuts right through everything. And that's it. That's the relationship. That's wholeness. That's what it is for me. And so that's, practically speaking, is learning to be with what is. And it's okay. And okayness right now with what is. And I can be gentle and compassionate with myself for whatever's arising.
So look, I'm so glad you brought up this topic, or this idea that this relationship we are talking about, it's not only related, or it's not about the others or the outside world. There is this relationship, ongoing relationship within us. And you mentioned feelings. So to enter in a relationship with our feelings is equally important as it is to join with what is apparently out there. Very important. I might bring 2 more paragraphs for us just to add from chapter 20 now, in A Course of Love. Chapter
Okay,
20.
great. Yeah.
Chapter 20.
Chapter 20, Wholeheartedness, the Embrace. What a perfect chapter.
Yeah. Yeah. In 20.8, we have, and now we begin to see with the eyes of our heart. We are no longer looking out, but looking in. All landscapes and horizons form within the embrace. All beauty resides there. All light is fused and infused within the embrace. Within the embrace, our sight clears, and what we see is known rather than understood. And a little bit ahead on 20.17, we have the world does not exist apart from you. And so you must realize your compassionate connection. The world is not a collection of cement buildings and paved streets, nor of cold, heartless people who would as soon do you harm as good. It is but the place of your interaction with all that lives within you, sharing the one heartbeat. Just came to mind one story I've heard recently of one very unusual encounter. It took place in World War II. One German fighter pilot was on a mission on a day, and he spotted an American airplane flying there over German airspace. So he went on a hunt. But see what happens. When he got close enough to the American airplane, he saw that the airplane was badly battered. There are already some holes in the fuselage, so that the American airplane was in a really bad shape. So he decided to peek and take a look at the pilot. So when he looked, he had one holy instant. He had one holy encounter. Their eyes looking into each other, they saw the difficulty, the pain that both were enduring during the war. And the German pilot sensed that it's so easy for me to just shoot this guy down.
Yeah.
And he was, that's the impressive thing. He was one airplane short of winning one prestigious medal in the German Air Force. So if he shoots that one airplane, he would land his airplane as a German hero, and he would win a big medal there to honor the pilots who have shot down a certain number of enemy airplanes. But so even with this in mind, and knowing that just one more, and I land my airplane in glory, to win my medal, he stopped, and something in his heart kind of told him, I'm not going to take this man's life. I feel this guy has a wife in America, he has a son or a daughter, someone is waiting for him there, and I'm not going to shoot. So unusually, he told the American pilot, like, go. And he turned around. And later on, they connected. They managed to find each other, and until the end of their lives, they were deep, close friends. And they shared this story, and that's why it came into the public. So this is what the heart sees. The mind would see just another enemy, another body, another airplane to shoot down. But as we have just read, what the heart sees is a connection soul to soul. You experience the spirit of the moment, something that your physical eyes cannot see. It's only when you look within that you connect on a soul level or heart-to-heart level. And this changes the experience completely.
I love that. And the World War II story. And I think we've all had those experiences. I know I have, where it's like, you know, the times that I've had those experiences where I'm seeing with the eyes of the heart, it's like this overwhelming, like, flood of grace comes over me. And it's like I'm no longer in my mind. It's like I'm not, when I see whatever I'm seeing, it's not an image anymore. It's like I'm also there's such a connection with it. It's hard to even, you can't even put it in the words, but it's like a feeling that blossoms inside of me. And it's like this deep, you know, you can feel the connection. But I think with the, you know, the key for me in those moments is just like, I'm not in the analytical mind. Like these images drop. I feel like, you know, when we have an image of somebody, like, you know, if I'm just holding an image of who you are, then that puts up a block between us. But if I can see you without that image, without the mind's intellectual, you know, concepts and images that it wants to put between us, if I see you just in that rawness and that tenderness and that beauty and that openness, I mean, you know, that's a true joining. And I feel like that's the times when I have these magical moments or miracle moments. That's it. I'm not in my head. I mean, I've dropped into something deeper. And I would just invite everyone, it's like, don't take my word, don't take Rodrigo's word. It's like, you know, your own direct experience will give this to you. I love this conversation, seeing it with the eyes of the heart. It's beautiful. It's very practical too.
Yeah.
If we can go out or in our day or our evening and just be open to what is and what's arising and see what happens and join with that experience. But thank you so much for being here, Rodrigo, and thank you for all our viewers out there. And we hope this was enjoyable video. And so next time we'll have a new topic and a new guest. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much. Peace, blessings to everybody.